wish at this carnage and our anger, and to express our solidarity with the people of Gaza. Their desperate plight today comes on top of a catastrophic humanitarian crisis already caused by 2 years of Israeli blockade, as other speakers have mentioned. And of course, this is on top of 60 years of Palestinian suffering. Their dispossession that an Israeli historian, Islamic, has called ethnic cleansing. And of course, a brutal military occupation for 40 years. But let me say that we who are here today know all of this. All of you know this. But we are here because there are so many who are not. If we are not to talk just to ourselves, we must do something about the widespread indifference, or worse. We have a responsibility to turn our moral concern into meaningful action, because it's here in the West that the fate of Palestine is decided. We must find ways to counter the barrage of deceit, that prevents people from understanding what is going on and reacting to it as human beings. History is being rewritten even as it happens. So, as you all know, it is a lie that Israel is defending itself. There are no Palestinian F-16 jets. There are no Palestinian F-16 jets bombing Israel. There are no Palestinian tanks in the street of Tel Aviv. The assault on Gaza is not a war, but a cowardly act of terrorism. It is perpetrated by the most sophisticated military force against a defenseless population. The casualty figures are sufficient evidence of this crime against humanity. But this is not how it is presented in our media, or by our own politicians, who endlessly, uncritically repeat the official lies of Israeli propaganda. Under the guise of balance, the victims are blamed for their suffering and they have no voice, and the world stands by doing nothing. It is also a lie, endlessly repeated by our media and politicians, that Hamas does not want to negotiate. The record is clear. Israel has rebuffed serious proposals because it would have to make just concessions to the Palestinians. It is also a lie, endlessly repeated by our media and politicians, that Israel had no choice, as they keep saying, but to launch this assault. Israel had a clear choice. They could have preserved the effective ceasefire that they, the Israelis, violated. It is also a lie, perhaps the main lie that is being repeated, that Israel is attacking Gaza to stop rockets. You could learn this from the official website of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. On November the 4th, Israel violated the ceasefire that held for 6 months, as reported on the Israeli Defense Force website, and the ceasefire was protecting Israeli citizens from rockets, as actually emails from the citizens of Sderot clearly understand. The official Israeli website showed that Hamas launched its missiles in retaliation for Israeli attacks. But on December the 27th, the very day that Israel launched its savage bombardment, the Foreign Ministry changed its website, removing the charts, giving the numbers of rockets and mortars fired from Gaza. Of course, these charts revealed the near total cessation of rocket fire during the truce, and they provide striking evidence of Hamas's good faith and considerable restraint in the face of the blockade. The former High Commissioner for Human Rights, Mary Robinson, described the blockade as the destruction of a civilization, and this was before the bombing, that one Israeli military officer reported to the press yesterday said that it makes like Gaza look like they were bombing for years, not for weeks. And the Israeli Foreign Minister, Tzipi Livni, has the depravity to say there is no humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Shame. But we are here because we understand these facts and we understand their moral significance. We must ask ourselves how it's possible for our own respectable media and our politicians to reverse the truth and portray Israel as the victim. But we have a weapon that is more powerful than well-funded propaganda machine of the Israel lobby. And it's willing apologists in our own media and politics. We have compassion, we have a sense of justice, and we have the truth. We can make a difference. Bear with me, I have a few more things I'd like to say, and then I'll find out. What we are up against is not just a bias, but a kind of ignorance, a culpable, blameworthy ignorance. It's a kind of psychological aberration or a deviance. It's a moral blindness that fails to notice the gross imbalance and suffering. Israeli violence is not disproportionate, it's barbaric. But there's more to be said. We needn't wonder that Israeli officials utter depraved lies. We must wonder why so many other people can accept them so willingly. We have to make an effort. We have to penetrate the veil of mystification and self-deception that prevents people from thinking clearly and responding as human beings to the heartbreaking scenes we've seen in Gaza. So I'm here today. Let me wind up on a personal note. I'm here today because I share a motivation with many Jews around the world. My 83-year-old mother is a survivor of the Nazi concentration camp Auschwitz. I grew up with her question, why didn't anyone help the Jews? Why didn't anyone else care? And why did the world allow it to happen? These are the same questions we must ask today about the crimes against Palestinians. I'm here because the state of Israel does not represent all Jews. If we have learned the real meaning of the slogan, never again, from the Second World War, we can't remain silent when crimes are being committed in our name. We must universalize the tragedy to include others in our moral universe and to recognize our shared humanity with the Palestinians. This is the lesson, thank you, it's the lesson of a wonderful and famous Palestinian, Edward Said, who was a great moral hero and a leader. Let me wind up with one final remark. The Nazis made Jews wear a yellow Star of David to stigmatize them and to persecute them, and I grew up with an immensely moving image of other people, not Jews, like the King of Denmark and other people, who showed their humanity by wearing the yellow star to symbolize their solidarity with the Jewish victims of persecution. This is the spirit in which I'm wearing a Palestinian badge today, and the spirit in which many Jews and others around the world stand with the Palestinians. The spirit was expressed by a young Italian volunteer who is currently working in Gaza called Vittorio Arrigoni. I'd like to conclude by reading an email that he sent a week ago on Friday, January the 9th. This is the email from the Italian worker in Gaza. He wrote, "The Italian consulate has just contacted me to say that tomorrow they shall evacuate a fellow Italian, an elderly nun. The consul gently urged me to seize this last opportunity to escape this hell with the nun." He goes on to say, "I thanked him for the offer, but I'm not moving from here. I just can't." He says, "For the sake of the losses we endured before being Italian, Spanish, British or Australian, right now, we are all Palestinians." Thank you.
Peter deserves a big round of applause for that. That was